Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, here's another thing. I was talking about the future of work and the disruption of work yesterday, and I wanted to continue that discussion a little bit when it comes to talent acquisition, because I think that talent acquisition is also pretty busted. It's also pretty busted. And the reason it's pretty busted is that it's experienced this atherosclerosis, where all of these processes that we've had for, 100 years have been just codified into this way of doing business that seems to be uncrackable. It seems to be impossible to get around this sort of hoary old process. Hoary, H-O-A-R-Y, which means old and archaic, old process of acquiring talent, of hiring people. I mean, think about the hiring process today. We have recruiters posting jobs. We have candidates posting resumes. We have ATSs trying to match the candidates with the resumes. We have a subset of resumes going to the recruiter. We have a recruiter going through resumes and doing screening calls. We're having the recruiter take those screens that were successful and pass them on to the hiring manager. We have the hiring manager talking to the candidates. We have the candidates coming in for group interviews. We eventually have the candidates getting a job offer. We have the candidate getting the job offer, accepting the job offer, coming in to the office, maybe spending one day at the office and realizing this job is not for them, or the company says, wait, this guy is not for us, and then poof, all that time and effort wasted on an individual who doesn't even show up. What is wrong with this picture? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with this picture. There is no way through this entire process to capture how someone will work on the job, because what you're creating is a false reality. The hiring process, the talent acquisition process, puts the candidate into a false reality where they cannot truly reveal what they're actually like to anybody, because it's also structured. We don't know how this person's going to be on the job, because all we know about is some of the things that they've done in the past, maybe talking to references, etc. We know the tiniest little facet of this individual. We don't know how they work. We don't know what they're like. We don't know how they interact with people. For all we know, this person could interview incredibly well, but be terrible as a fit in our organization. And some people out there are saying, well, what are we going to do about it? There's nothing we can do about it. That's the process. That's the process. We just have to be better at interviewing. We have to maybe get them to talk to the hiring manager earlier, or get them to talk to the team earlier, or whatever. And everyone's looking at inside the current process, how to improve the current process. But I'd argue that improving the current process is not what you want to do. I think we need a brand new thinking when it comes to this sort of thing. I think we need to break out that completely and do something completely new and different. Because the problem is that we are having the biggest issue with not being able to hire since the beginning. Since God knows how long it's been. We are having such a mismatch attempting to hire individuals into organizations that we just can't do it. And is it because the individuals aren't talented? No. Is it because the job descriptions are incorrect? No. Is it because the ATS system isn't working? No. Well, actually, it's a little bit of all those. The problem is we never know who will be the right person for the job until they start working in the job. with the team doing the job. So I'm going to argue that for all recruiters out there, for all talent acquisition folks out there, think about this for a second. Just as a trial, as an MVP, as a test, try running apprenticeships for the first person that comes across the desk, where the hiring manager goes, this person looks interesting. And don't filter them. Don't filter them. Just get the resume in and have the individuals, have the hiring managers look at them. Look at them. Don't filter, because 9 times out of 10, the recruiters may not know exactly the kind of individual that you were looking for. Have the hiring managers look at a random sampling of unfiltered resumes, and then have that hiring manager take the random sampling of unfiltered resumes and pick someone, or 2 or 3, or however many you want, individuals, and then offer them a type of apprenticeship. So there's a little story that I heard once about somebody. I think it was they were hiring somebody to do some woodworking. I think that's what it was. And they interviewed and talked to all sorts of people. And then they brought them in to do a piece of work, right? To do a piece of work, to show them their skills at doing this work. And once they actually had them doing the work in the shop, with the hiring managers watching them working, watching them work, picking up the tools, putting the tools down, using the tools, they were able to almost immediately filter out exactly who they wanted on the team. And they talked to one of the hiring managers, and they said it's because of the way he handled his tools. They didn't, the guy who they hired, they didn't even have to watch him do anything. He didn't even have to do any woodworking. They just watched him handle his tools, and he handled his tools with respect. And that small aspect, even though the guy's resume didn't look very good, even though the guy's experience there wasn't a lot of experience there, this guy ended up being their best worker. Here's where I see the disconnect lies. The reality of the hiring process is not the reality of the job process. We need to mash up those realities, and we need to bring back apprenticeship in a big way in almost every gig. Now, I'm not sure how it can be done legally, but I think what we need to do is do something where you bring somebody on board, you have them actually do the work. You observe them doing the work, and if you are pleased with the way they do the work and how quickly they can learn the work, then you can decide to offer them a longer term contract. Instead of going through the entire process and picking someone who may not be good, get them to actually do the job. You get them to actually do the job, and if you get them to actually do the job, then lo and behold, you will know if they can do the job. The past is no indication of future results. What they did before for that other company in that time frame on that project has nothing to do with what that individual can do now and in the future for you. The only way to find out is to have them do the work. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.